It is my pleasure and my honor to welcome to the program, if you will, the queen of elevating profits, the go-to expert for affiliate marketers who need to keep more cash in their pockets, the one, the only, the truth, the Amanda McGowan me crazy, changing her name, Kendall. What is going on? Welcome to the program. It is such an honor and a pleasure to interview you. How are you doing today?
I am phenomenal today, Tyler. How are you?
I'm doing well. The McGowan me crazy thing, don't take offense to it. It's just you and my brain are still Amanda Kendall. Congratulations, of course, on the wedding very recently. So everyone, please congratulate Amanda. Such a fantastic thing to celebrate. Let's go ahead and dive on in. I want you to just do a little bit of discussing your previous history, what got you started in accounting. Just give us a little bit of that kind of backdrop that led you to where you are today.
So I got into accounting completely by accident, actually. I was a young mother waiting tables and realized that's not what I wanted to continue to do. So literally, I was in Vero Beach, oddly enough, and literally applied at every law firm, every bank, like everywhere that would give me like a 9 to 5 Monday through Friday schedule for my kid. And literally the only place hiring was actually a tax resolution firm. Got hired there, went to work for them. After about 6 weeks, I was literally the only one out of like 18 people that trained with me that hadn't been fired or quit yet. And I ended up just falling in love with that side of it. And then over the course of time, I started to understand the accounting aspects and really fell in love with that side of it. So this was never like my childhood dream to be in accounting. I just fell into it and fell in love with it.
Perfect. So pretty tenacious if you were 1 out of 18 to survive. That sounds sounds pretty brutal if you were able to stick around. Out of curiosity, what made that so difficult? Was it management? Was it the material itself? Like just didn't select the right people to bring in? What was that problem?
This particular company, I think they hired in the masses because they knew based on what they did that really there would only be probably 1 to 2 people out of each training class to make it. So I just happened to be that one in my class.
Gotcha. No, that makes perfect sense. They say hire fast, fire fast, and it seems like that company understood a little bit about that principle, maybe a little too well knew that principle. Let's move forward a bit here because that's what got you started in the accounting realm, but then you were able to start up your entrepreneurial journey. And I know a lot of people on here are maybe making that transition, have made that transition, want to further it in some way, shape, or form. But what led you down entrepreneurship?
Again, completely thrown at me by accident. It was not planned. After moving to Colorado, I was working for a firm here, and the gentleman approached me one day. Oddly, I was pregnant with my second child, so something about kids in my shift happened. But I was pregnant with my second child, and he approached me and he's like, "Hey, I'm going to be closing the business down in the next year." And instantly, like, I just went into panic mode thinking I was about to get laid off and like panicking. And I'm like, pregnant. So of course I'm emotional. So tears start welling up in my eyes. And he's like, no. He goes, "I'm approaching you because I want you to take over the business from me in the next year." And I was like, "Oh, okay, let's talk about it." And so basically I got to start my entrepreneurial journey while continuing to collect a paycheck from someone else and building up my book of business at the same time. So it was really nice. And after about a year of doing that, I realized that I very, very quickly became unemployable by anybody else. So I just decided I'd stay in the entrepreneurial world, and that's where I've been for the last 13 years now.
Once you taste the forbidden fruit, you can't really ever go back. That's definitely true. And that's interesting. So I think a lot of people who are making that transition from maybe a smaller firm, sometimes they build up this boogeyman in their mind of the owner. And I think that's a really bad way of thinking about it. You don't necessarily know where they are in their own entrepreneurial journey. They may be getting ready to sunset. They may just be saying, "I'm never going to go through another tax season again." And there may be a qualified team member in this case, like Amanda. A lot of people go, she's pregnant, well, all these things. This guy did not think about that at all, right? And nor should anyone think about that. But my point is like, you would look at something like that. A lot of people, when they go, I'm not even going to approach that topic, I'm not going to think it, but it came into her lap, so to speak. And a lot of people, it might be sitting right in front of you. You just need to be willing to have that conversation. And who knows where it's going to lead you. Collect a paycheck while starting entrepreneurship is a pretty sweet trade-off. That's super cool. So why don't we go a little bit further down that timeline? So essentially, this is still very much tax resolution. Is that correct, Amanda, that you're now inheriting in some way, shape, or form? Talk a bit about that transformation from employment to entrepreneurship. What was something that maybe surprised you that either you liked, or something that surprised you that you maybe are still trying to work through even to this day?
Wow, that's a good question. So I will say that the gentleman that kind of spoon fed me into entrepreneurship, he really held my hand through a lot of it. So a lot of the surprises, I think I had a bit of a leg up, because he was like, oh, watch out for this, you're going to see this, or, oh, hey, this is about to happen, watch for this. So I had a bit of a leg up, but I would say probably the biggest surprise, and it seems really obvious looking back, but I think the biggest surprise was that eventually I got to a point where it was, okay, it's time to either grow, or this is where I'm going to stay stagnant forever. And I think in my mind, when I started this, I'm like, oh, business owners just make money, and then more money, and then more money, and then more money, and they just do it all. And like, I hit this point where I'm like, if I continue to do this all, I'm going to end up in a hospital bed instead of my work chair.
And the main part of that being do this all, which is a major transition that we help a lot of our clients with, is recognizing that is not the right way to be thinking about it in any capacity. But at the same time, this firm that you had, Amanda, you were able to move away from it into a different type of environment, still in the same field, same industry, but not necessarily the same service, same client base. And I think a lot of people who maybe have the firm they just kind of happen to have, as opposed to actively creating the firm of their dreams as the children play and fight in the background, they think of that transition as something that can be very difficult to achieve. What was really the defining moment for you when you knew you had to move on from that previous business model? And again, maybe explain a little bit about why you made that decision and what that business model was, and what really pulled you towards where you are right now.
Yeah, so initially it was very heavy resolution based, and I loved that work. I really, really enjoyed it. But then I started, like, one day I was talking to one of my clients, and I'm like, what got you into this problem? Which was a question I asked everybody, but this guy answered it completely differently. And he goes, I've never had an accountant or a tax professional or anybody on the bookkeeping side that's really helped me understand what's going on in my business. He goes, I make money, I spend money. Nobody's ever helped me understand how I need to plan for taxes. And that was a big light bulb moment for me, because I was like, oh, I've been doing this. At that point, it was like 8 years. I'm like, I've been doing this for like 8 years now, and nobody's ever told me that they're not getting that level of help on the other side of it. So at that point, I was like, okay, well, we're going to add another leg of business. And so I started adding in that accounting with a big focus on helping them understand, like, profit margins, all of those components of it, really almost doing that CFO type work without really realizing that was what I was doing at the time. And then after a couple of years of doing both, I realized that the clients on the accounting side are a lot kinder and more appreciative than the clients on the resolution side. And in my journey over the last, I'd say 4 to 5 years now, like, part of my journey has been really doing some mindset shifts and becoming a more positive person. And when I made that shift for myself, I realized I was doing a lot of this with those clients, because it was always, woe is me, the world sucks, like, I didn't do this, somebody else caused this problem. And it just became, I don't want to say an ethical issue for me, but it just became something where I could not be as compassionate with their situation as they deserved. And so for me, that was kind of the defining moment where I was like, okay, it's time to pass this off to someone else and really just focus over here.
I love that answer in so many different respects, but the main one is that your clients are typically speaking a mirror image of yourself. A lot of people say, well, Tyler, you're so positive. And then I go, have you seen Amanda? Have you seen Ine? Have you seen Tim? I'm like, have you seen Tom? Right? Like we are mirror images of each other. And if you find yourself with a client base that is maybe not what you would like it to be, again, part of the reason I built this as like the truth is normally right and is looking you right in the face. And that mindset shift that Amanda went through is something that it takes time to get there. Sometimes it's that conversation with that client. It's the frustration of just going through the same experiences over and over again. It's like, man, it's hard for me to imagine for a lot of people why their dream clients are tax resolution. And I say that because tax resolution clients have been delinquent in their responsibilities. And typically speaking, most people want someone who's proactive, like themselves, excited to be able to have these wonderful strategies in place. And if you don't have that yourself, it's hard to then go and find those people who also want it. So I love that answer so much. Such a powerful one. And so let's now then take a little bit, let's go forward. Let's jump forward in time a bit here. And let's bring us a little bit closer to the here and now, maybe not quite yet. I want you to paint the picture of what your life was like before working with dream firms, Amanda. What were some of the problems that you were experiencing at that time?
So you say that and instantly I go back to our very first consult call where we were talking about the program. And I remember being on Zoom and like grabbing a tissue because I was in tears. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so embarrassing. It was rough. As you guys have already heard, I'm a mom. I have 2 kids. They're currently 14 and 9, but I was working nonstop. My work schedule and my focus on my business actually caused me to end up in a divorce from my first marriage. And it really was, I was constantly working. That point, it was just myself and an admin assistant who didn't really have any tax knowledge. Like she was literally just an admin. And I was working Monday through Sunday, every day. Monday through Friday was always like at least 8-hour days, if not longer. And then Saturday and Sunday, I'd find myself in the office before anybody else in my house woke up, and I'd be putting in 4 to 5 hours bright and early in the morning before the sun even came up, just to try and get things caught up so that I could start all over again on Monday. There was one point in my business where I didn't take a paycheck for almost 10 months. I was literally robbing Peter to pay Paul to try and make ends meet, business and personally. And it was all, looking back, it was all just a combination of the wrong pricing, the wrong services, the wrong mindset around that whole I have to do it all component. And then really there was this stigma I had that I couldn't really afford to hire someone because if I hired someone, it was going to take away from my paycheck. And so that's where I was when we first.
Wow. And I think when someone hears that, they go, and someone who might be in a similar situation, because I want to be clear, what Amanda shared is not uncommon, is that we get into entrepreneurship to ultimately win back our time. But since we end up wearing all the hats, and maybe it's a new environment, even with the stewardship that Amanda had from a previous entrepreneur, that we can still find ourselves making these sort of repeated mistakes or having the wrong structure to our business that ends up creating a monster. It traps us. It creates fear, creates family problems. It creates all sorts of these issues. And I think when you went through and you listed these things, right, from pricing to client selection to working too many hours to not being able to hire things, most people hear that and they go, but where do you even start? And where is that in your opinion, Amanda? Where does it begin for you? Where was the transition? When were you able to start to make meaningful change in that situation?
Gosh, it was literally like I had a huge epiphany watching one of your training videos, and I don't remember exactly which one it was. But it was one, I think it had to do with something with pricing. And then we had a group coaching call and we were talking about it. And like I mentioned my price, and I just remember watching everybody's jaws on the screen just go. And I was like, too high? And they're like, no, that's way too low. And so I think I mean, obviously we're always evolving and we're always developing. And for me over this past year, that piece was something I really had to work on, was that self-value and self-worth of the fact that like, sometimes I think we get stuck in our heads. And I know I totally did this, of like, this comes so easy to me. Like I can pick this up and have a giant mess, and within an hour be like, okay, like the puzzle is starting to form. I'm getting what's like, it just comes really naturally to us, but it doesn't to other people. And I think I understated my value because of that, because of how easy it came to me. I felt like, well, nobody's going to pay high dollar for this because it's so simple. And so it was that moment that I had to make that shift of, just because it's simple for me doesn't mean it's simple for other people. And I had to really like, I had this thing that I kept telling myself, because my IT people are my saving grace many days of the week. And so I had to just start reminding myself, like, I am to others what my IT people are to me. And I pay good money to have them fix problems that I don't know how to do.
What a fantastic reflection, right? Being able to look at what we're seeing as another valuable service and say, wait a minute, these problems are complex for me. But if I'm solving other problems that are complex for other people, isn't that a way to just have a little bit of a backdrop? I think, again, the reason that this was so powerful is we get trapped up here a lot. And when Amanda was willing to share what she had going on among other like-minded peers and our jaws drop, it's because we know how awesome she is. We know all about what she's able to bring, because partly we know what it's like to deliver those experiences, but also what their tangible worth is. It's not a lot of people think value like some mystical, some complex formula. It's the result. The result is your ability to solve a problem that otherwise would take someone forever to solve, if they could even do it in the first place. And the recognition of that is a tremendous place to start making a major, major shift. Let's talk a little bit about perhaps other programs before we go further with Dream Firms, because I know a lot of people find themselves in this kind of shiny object syndrome, moving from one thing to the next. I don't know if you've ever necessarily been in that particular mode, Amanda, but I am curious to know what you had maybe done previously to try and address these problems, and if they fell short, why you felt that was the case. And again, not here to publicly shame anyone, but just to kind of share that there is a difference from one program to the next, and maybe those programs are right for you at the right time, but maybe this one is right for you right now. But in terms of what you maybe experienced before, what were those, and what did they ultimately get back to you?
Yeah, so first I want to address your shiny object syndrome comment, because we're entrepreneurs. We live with shiny object syndrome. So yes, I've been there. So yeah, and I won't name names, but I've tried a couple before. And I think the biggest difference for me between what your program contains and what the others do is, and this has always stuck in my mind from our first conversation, as you say, you never run a group coaching program without some aspect of one-to-one. And that like really resonated with me, because I've been in other programs where it is group only. And I'm like, well, this is amazing, but I have this issue that everybody else is not having, and I don't want to take up everybody else's time. And I really want to dive into this specifically for me, not in a general conversation of, oh, well, this will work for most people and this might work. But like, what does that look like for me? How do I do that? That was a big piece of it for me. Was I love the group aspects of it and what we get from each other within the group calls. But I really love those one-on-ones when I'm having that issue, and being able to be like, all right, Tyler, this is what I need, and we're going to figure it out. And I'm going to screen share and we're going to go through it, and you're going to help me work all the way through this. That is something I've never seen. To be able to come to you like Active Campaign, you know, I was having an issue with that. I could not figure it out. And we jumped on our hot seat call. And by the end of 45 minutes, it was running and it was working. And I got like, what, 45 reviews out of that one 45-minute call that we did to fix the glitch that I was having. So I think that one-on-one plus the group aspect is huge, but then the way that you do your training videos, where you literally lay it out and walk us through it. I love that, because I can tell you there's some of those videos I've watched 4 or 5 times, and like what may be a 45-minute video has taken me like 3 hours, because I like watch and I pause and I do, and I watch and I pause and I do. That I think has been one of the most valuable components of this, because I've been able to, a lot of it was tools I already had, but I wasn't using the way I should have been. So being able to go through and be like, okay, if I do this the way Tyler just showed me, and then if I do this the way Tyler just showed me, like, it's moved mountains this year for me. It truly has.
Humbling to say the very least. Thank you for being willing to share that, Amanda. And yes, it is very important to me that the one-on-one side of things is accounted for as a part of what we do, because the problems that she's experiencing are not the problems that anyone that's listening to this are necessarily experiencing. Yes, there can be similarities. Yes, there can be overlap. Group coaching to me is an incredibly important environment to foster community, to share and crowdsource questions and problems. But yeah, exactly. We need to be able to have that dedicated time where it's like, no, this is me time. What about me? And I never want to be in a place where I don't have the ability for me time for one of my dream clients. I'm not willing to ever sacrifice that experience, because I do believe it's the fundamental difference maker in being able to move mountains, right? Like, that's pretty awesome. We might have a quote around that in the not so distant future, if you don't mind. But let's get to the process of getting started with us, because I think even some people, they hear, 45 minute video takes 3 hours to implement. It's like, yeah, but I also want to make sure that there's detail and that there's depth. But let's go even before that. When we first have you get started inside of the Create Your Dream Firm program, Amanda, what was it like just getting things operational?
It was super simple. Like, you made sure I had everything. I had no glitches getting signed in the initial time. Those first few things that are in there are super simple, and they really get you in the right mindset to be able to work through the rest of it. Which I think is also something that's missing from other programs, is you don't really focus here. It's all out here on what we're doing. So it was super simple to get started. It honestly, probably one of the simpler programs I've ever enrolled in to get started in, as far as I didn't have to wait. Like, I like the fact that you start and you don't have to wait for the next group coaching call, or you don't have to schedule a one-on-one call. Like, you start, you go in and you just start watching the training videos and you start moving through.
My number one barometer for like whether or not someone should join is really, how hungry are you to make change? You have to want it. I get some people who are complacent, maybe some multi-six-figure income earners or multi-six-figure firms, and they're just kind of complacent and just like, look, we're going to let you go as fast as you want, and we're not going to be a reason for you to slow down. But that starts right at the beginning, as Amanda shared, is, hey, come in, let's get things rolling. And if we even harken back to one of the things she shared in the very beginning, when she understood the shift in her mindset based on what a client had asked her, or when she had asked the client that was having tax resolution problems, effectively the answer was, I needed someone to help me. And there's that, it brings to mind that funny, I'm not a big meme person, but that funny meme about essentially someone's trying to like have an imaginary conversation about taxes. And they're like, so how much do I owe? And they're like, you have to figure it out. And it's like, oh, so I make it up. And it's like, no, there's a specific number that you have to provide. And it's like, so how do I know what that number is? And it's like, you have to figure it out. And it's like, well, what happens if I'm wrong? You go to jail. And it's like, that to me is like the perfect example of like, if you're not proactive, you don't have someone like Amanda or anyone on this call on your side to help guide you through it, it's confusing. And you end up with people who have IRS tax resolution who go literally, I didn't know. And that's sad, and it's preventable, but it starts with the mindset shift and knowing that it can be prevented. And again, that's why part of our programs, it's so important that we start with that. Top 3 things you need to invest in as an entrepreneur. If you're taking notes, write this down. Number 1 is always mindset. Russell Brunson, right? $500 million a year company. He'll tell you he always is coachable, always. Number 2, expanding your network. And when I say your network, it's who is your prospective dream clients and how are you able to stay in their sphere of existence? How do they become familiar with you? That's what the power of your network is. And number 3 is your skill set. However, this third one is a little bit of a trick. It can be a little hard. And in case you didn't notice, Amanda's taking notes. She's one of my top clients. What did she do? She took out a pen. She started taking notes. Okay. If she's taking notes, y'all should be taking notes as well. But the third one can be a little bit of a trap with skills. because you have to know what skills an entrepreneur should be focusing on as opposed to what a technician should be focusing on. More on that potentially later in different training. I want to swing it back to Amanda. What do you enjoy most about working with us? What's the thing that comes to mind when you're just like, I love this portion of what we do?
Honestly, this is going to seem so small in the big scheme of all the things, but I love that we start off every group call with, what is your win? Like, I love that we celebrate each other and we all get to share that win. And like, when you share one, everybody's like, what?
It's small, but it's important because I don't know about you guys. If you're making sizable progress in your business, it can be hard to share those things with non-entrepreneurs. Like, they fundamentally don't get it. When you're like, oh my goodness, I got like a scheduling tool set up and I was able to save so much time and like all my clients are now using it. They're like, okay, like, can we go to McDonald's or something? You know, like, what are you talking about? And it's like, but don't you get why it's so cool? And they don't get it. They don't get it. And so having a place to literally share what you're excited about and understand why other people are excited and the wins they're getting, it's just this positive infection. I hate using the word infectious. And I used to love using that word. I hate it now. I've got to get it out of my vocabulary. Such a positive, vibracious atmosphere. I don't know. It's awesome because it is allowing positivity to be shared in a meaningful way. And such a great point, Amanda. Thank you for sharing that. So again, this question, 100% optional, but if you are willing to share, since joining Dream Firms, how much have you added to your firm and in what time frame has that been?
So I'm so close to the 100K award, and I don't think I've shared this with you yet because it's kind of like, it's my little secret I keep in the back. So I think March is my 1 year mark with you, and we're currently sitting at 78,000 added.
That's what's up. Congratulations. That is absolutely awesome. And I just always want to emphasize that's 100% on Amanda. As much as she's willing to share that and discuss it in the context of the program, it's on her for making powerful decisions every single day in her business that leads to powerful results for her clients and meaningful growth in her organization and for her team members as well. So congratulations, Amanda. You did that outside of tax season. Are you kidding me? Like, what do you mean? Like, forget it. I'm just going to start making the award right now. Okay.
Well,
so,
and can I share one more thing on that?
Of course,
that
please.
You said something, it just made me want to make sure that these people hear this, that, you know, I want to be very clear that that growth wasn't easy. Like, I've lost a lot of clients this year because my new price point doesn't fit their budget, because our new service angle doesn't fit them. So I just want people to understand, like, growth also comes with loss. You have to get rid of those, and I don't like saying get rid of, but you have to figure out who are the right fit and who aren't. And those people that aren't, they're either going to fall off by necessity or just by design eventually. So just know, as you're growing and you're doing these things, like, if you lose 2 clients to gain 1, chances are you're still up in your numbers because that 1 is coming in where you need them to be.
It's such an important point about growth, and anyone that has a problem with this concept, there's a book that really solidified this thought process for me, and I believe it's called Necessary Pruning. It's a very strange title, but it's essentially the fact of nature that nothing grows without loss. It is the rose bush does not grow unless you trim the rose bush back. It does not happen. And your client base largely will not grow if you continue to tolerate problem clients. I like to say tax season's a myth because it's a story we tell ourselves over and over and over again, that we have to put up with things the way they are. You don't. You can make a powerful decision today. And it's not to say like fire clients, but be more conscious about what you're willing to accept. What is acceptable to you? Because if you say yes to the wrong things, the wrong clients, you're intentionally saying no to your dream clients. If you say yes to the wrong things, you're intentionally saying no to the right things. Do not ever forget that. And that might be painful. It's not easy. It's not easy to get rid of potentially legacy clients that have been with you for a while and gave you a chance when you're getting started out. I'm not saying it should be easy. I'm saying it's simple and it's worth doing as long as you define ultimately what you want. That's how you build your dream firm. Okay, so let's, thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate that. Such a great point. Growth is, there's no comfort in growth, and there's no there's no growth in comfort, right? Something like that. I think that's the way that saying goes. So what would you say to the 26, maybe another, I don't know how many on Facebook, but the people who are listening to this and all the people who are going to be, what would you say to someone considering our services right now, even knowing that tax season is on the horizon, Amanda?
I mean, I signed up with you at the beginning of March, like the busiest month of the year. And I have absolutely no regrets, not one, because within a week, I was already shifting things that were making my life easier. So even if you're considering it, there is no better time than now. Because honestly, like we're getting ready to go into some of our busiest months. Having those, even just if you could implement 3 things out of some of the stuff Tyler teaches us, it would make your tax season so much smoother and so much easier. If anybody is sitting there telling themselves in their head that you need to wait until after April 15th, I'm telling you, you will kick yourself in the, you know what, afterwards if you don't do it now, because it has so much impact on how we operate when we're busy, that if you don't do it now, you're going to be 10 steps farther behind come April.
Couldn't have said it better myself. The best time to make change, if you're experiencing stress related to busy season, isn't after busy season. If you want to repeat the problems of last year, please stay the way you are. If you want to change to ultimately make things better, wins stack on top of each other. And our job is to make sure that you start winning in a different way. The only way that you're going to get something different is making a positive change today. And again, thank you so much for being willing to say that, Amanda. And
yeah,
I can't believe it was March when you signed up. That's crazy to me.
Seems like it was not that long ago, but there's this quote that I always keep in mind when I'm looking at things like that. And it's, nothing will ever change if nothing ever changes.
And you know what my counter to that is? Change is the only constant. Embrace it. Be willing to make change a part of your daily life, and ultimately you'll evolve faster. You get to where you want to be faster because things are going to change. Are you changing with it? And if you are, guess what? You're going to be a lot closer to your dream firm. Fantastic. Why do you consider this one of the best investments you've made in your business?
Well, looking at the cost of what I've invested and compared to the ROI, it's a no-brainer. I've paid much more for other programs and not had anywhere near the ROI, not even in just percentage, but the ROI and dollar value that's come out of it.
Well, we're just going to leave it right at that. That's fantastic. What has surprised you the most when it came to growing your practice?
I think it kind of goes back to that mentality of like, I was doing so much, and I think I had this fear of that growing meant I would have to do more. And honestly, I've grown substantially. I mean, we're now sitting, I have 3 full-time employees and a part-time employee plus myself. And haven't adjusted my pay at all. My profit margins are better than they were. So like, I think there was this fear that if I hired, I would lose out personally. And so I think the surprise in that came from the fact that when I got my prices where they needed to be, hiring became a necessity to take things off my plate, and I didn't lose for myself at all in that process. I think it might have been you that said this, Tyler, or somebody else did, but it's math is the path. Like, this is what we do. We know the numbers, so figure out the numbers. And that was the surprise for me, was that I was able to hire to the extent I have this year, and it's not impacted my paycheck at all.
Math is the path is one of my favorite expressions. I stole that from someone else, so I'm not going to remotely claim ownership for that, but it's true. You can leverage your skill set of an analytical mind to say, how am I going to get there? A lot of people come to me, they got $250,000 growth goals, been in business for 10 plus years, maybe only have $100,000 in business. And I go, what's going to be the difference that gets us from where you are to $250,000 in the next year? And what are we prepared to invest to make it happen? And that, I can't believe that that's like it almost feels like a question that should already be immediately able to be answered. And that's not the case. And whether or not you're acquiring that business, right? What you're willing to commit on the front end in terms of investments to market and sell, it's different than what you're going to be willing to commit in terms of investments to fulfill and deliver, so that you don't build a business that traps you, right? If you don't have the profit margins that allows you to be able to do that, that's going to be a problem. And what I want to do before we just move to some of the other questions, Amanda, we haven't had a chance to really talk too much about your incredibly exciting niche that I love. As soon as you told it to me, I was like, yes, like that's the direction. I love it. So let's talk just a tiny bit about that and how positioning yourself in that space can help increase overall perceived value, be able to drive higher profits, and also have a more efficient fulfillment system because of that. Like, tell us a little bit about that, because I know everyone's dying to understand just a tiny bit of that.
Yeah, so my niche, I focus on network marketers and affiliate marketers, an industry that this was my second niche choice, because Tyler and I went back and forth on a couple, and this was the one I landed on. But it's an industry that when I tell people this is where I focus, a lot of people in our industry are like, really? Why? And I'm like, that's why. Right there, that is why. Because these people are not getting the attention that all the other business owners are getting, because every time somebody hears network or affiliate, they're like, ooh. But I love it. I have a lot of connections in the industry already, so it kind of made sense in that aspect of it. But that's where I focus. And every time I tell somebody in the industry this, they're like, oh my gosh, that is amazing. It is so needed. And so not only did I find a niche that I am passionate about and I truly understand all of the ins and outs of it, but I found one that as I'm talking to people, there is a huge need, because I think when I first started this, I was like, there's nobody that does this. And now I found 2 other people and they're not great. I watch videos and I'm like, that's wrong information. But yeah, so that's my niche that we focused on.
Fantastic. I had one other thing that I want to share that you shared with us on I think last week or the week before's group coaching call. That was just, it was so hard to understand how like powerful this is, because it's ridiculous. So there's a new platform that's come out. It's very popular for Amanda's niche. And again, she's plugged in now. She knows what's going on. Like, she's able to receive this information. She's able to get on the platform. And by doing so and starting to interact and be one of those early movers and shakers in it, she was able to build some relationships. Can you tell us a little bit about the size of those relationships and what the capacity those relationships have to just destroy your growth goals for this year?
Yep. So kind of what you said, like I probably never, like I would have heard about this platform probably this week had I not been as tuned into my industry as I am. But because of the connections I have and the groups I'm in and what my lead gen specialist is working on and all of those things, like we heard about this within a couple of weeks of it launching, and we were actually able to get in. And then, so platform is one where it's by invite only. So you either have to be invited by someone or accepted. And when I like registered, I didn't realize that, but I turned around and like within an hour had an acceptance of my invite from I want to say 8-figure. I think he's probably pushing 9-figure network marketer. He's like, I would compare him like, as entrepreneurs, we all know who Richard Branson is, and some of these, like he's that name in network marketing. Like he's huge. And I've known that, like, he's a friend of mine. I've known him for years, but it never crossed my mind that like he would be the one to accept. And now every time people log in, they see that. And, like all the time I'm getting messages like, how do you know him? How do you know him? And I'm like, well, long story, but we're friends. But so then, yeah, I've jumped in and hosted a couple rooms on this platform and moderated some rooms. Literally conversations like around money mindset from network marketers, like something as simple of a title as that. And I've been connected with multiple, I think at this point we're at 6, 7+ figure earners in the network marketing industry. And it's kind of opened my eyes to a couple things. I've realized that once they're at that level, like they normally have a good accounting professional that they're comfortable with. And so when I first started this, I'm like, those are the people I want. And now I'm like, it's kind of shifted my mindset, even just in the last week with this platform, that like, those are the people I want to connect with. But getting their business is a long game. But getting the people under them that are just now starting to move into that 6 figures, moving from 6 to 7, that don't have that relationship, those are the connections I want for prospects. And these are the people that have the ability to make those connections. So literally from 2 hours of my time last week, I've already been interviewed for 2 podcasts this week. I have 2 team trainings lined up for team leaders that have teams of over 200 people. I've built another Facebook connection where I am their go-to person in their Facebook group for accounting questions. And I have 3 appointments on the book out of it. And that was from 2 hours of my time last week. Like, I wish my lead gen specialist could get on this platform and talk as me, because I'm like, it would be amazing, but I'm like, I don't have more than a couple hours a week to spend on it.
So the next version of Dream Firms, we're going to create a cloning machine where that is possible. So wow. I mean, like, I don't even know what to say to be able to encapsulate that, because the wins from that are just, they're literally immeasurable. We were able to put some specifics to them, but I want to key in on one major thing is that, yeah, we dream of these, $10 million plus business owners. There are movers and shakers in every space that obviously are going to be in that top echelon, that 1% and above. But Amanda knows the relationship with them is a long game. They've got people coming to them that are trying to get to their level that they're listening to. And by building those relationships, she's going to start to be able to capture the lower hanging fruit. And by doing a great job with them, they're going to start paying much closer attention to her and ultimately want to work with her in the long run. So
yep.
That was so awesome. Wow. Thank you for sharing that. So we already covered how close you are to winning your first Dream Firms award. I honestly think you're probably 30 to 45 days away, and I can't wait for it.
My goal is to have it by end of February.
No doubt. Zero doubt in my mind. So last question here, and we've got a couple Facebook and Zoom questions that I want to jump to in just a second here. So if you've got a question for Amanda, drop it down in the comment section now. We've got a bunch flooding in, and I want to make sure we get to all of them. So who would you recommend the Create Your Dream Firm program to?
Anybody who's in accounting and is working like a horse and not making good money. No, but seriously, there's some programs out there that are for startup accounting firms. There's some that are out there for 7-figure accounting firms. I think this one truly works for anybody who doesn't have good systems or good processes, whether you're starting up or whether you're already in the 7-figure space. If you cannot, and this was one of the key takeaways from this program that I've realized, is if I cannot put somebody in my chair today and be like, I need you to do my job all day long, and if they have to turn around and look at me and go, but what am I doing? That's a problem for me now. And so if you are a solopreneur looking to hire, or if you have staff, but there's no consistency in the deliverables, then this is for you, because that's one of the biggest things that this is going to give to you.
Thank you for sharing that. Let's move to open Q&A. And so again, if you got questions, drop them down. I've got something from Kevin. Kevin says, super inspiring. So glad I got to check this out in between 2 meetings. Way to be proactive, Kevin. Thanks for chiming in. Tiffany says, I have the same fear about hiring. What was your first hire, Amanda?
My first hire outside of my admin, well, my first hire ever was my admin, because I was like, I can't be answering the phone and scheduling appointments and dealing with emails. Now we don't schedule appointments because they're done automatically. But that was my very, very first hire, was somebody to take those components off. My second hire was a bookkeeper. But just because that's the order I did it in is not the order that's going to be right for you. So here's what you need to do. And Tyler's the one that actually sat me down and had this like come to Jesus with me of like, hey, it's literally I had to for a week, like, and it was so time consuming. And as I'm doing it, I'm like, oh, Tyler, this is so, but write down everything you're doing, whether it takes you 2 seconds or 2 hours, or it's an all day project, write down everything you're doing. And then you have to go through that and you have to look at that list through a lens of what are those high dollar things, those high dollar things that generate revenue that really can't be passed off right now. That's what you keep. Everything else you hire for. So if you look at that list and everything that you need to outsource and take off your plate is admin duties, then you hire an admin. If you look at that list and it's more bookkeeping, payroll, tax related stuff, then you need to hire somebody that can handle that. But so I hope that answers your question, but there's not one instant answer to who your first hire should be. It really depends on where you're at and what your need is.
It's such a fantastic answer, is that it is, the circumstances will dictate what should take the priority. I've had clients who go, oh, I need to hire my lead generation specialist. And I say, no, you can't handle more leads and sales right now. You're trapped in fulfillment. You're working too much in fulfillment. How many hours are you spending in bookkeeping or whatever it is, onboarding clients, reviews? Those questions, figuring out your day-to-day, seconds add up into minutes, minutes into hours. You can only win back your time by ultimately delegating to other people. So love that answer, Amanda.
And you have a quote that has stuck with me from the first time you said it, and it's buying our time back at a discount. Like that little statement, that one sentence literally flipped my brain upside down. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's so right. Like, how many times do we tell our clients, for those of you listening, like how many times do you tell your clients when they're like, well, I don't know if I can afford bookkeeping? And I'm like, can you afford not to? Because if you're spending 8 hours a week doing that, how much money can you go out and make in that 8 hours if you weren't doing that? And so that's how we have to look at it for ourselves as well. If we're spending 3 hours a day answering the phone, responding to emails, making sure people can get into your portal, that's not revenue generating activities that I need to be doing. I can pay somebody minimum wage or even higher than minimum wage, and that's way less than what my time costs to do those things.
Absolutely. And man, I feel like you should be doing the coaching because, man, you're just rocking it. But that expression, Amanda, that stuck in your brain, it stuck in my brain the first time I heard it from my coach. And I'm sure he took it from someone else, but James Friel taught that to me because I had the same problem. I was solopreneur and I was like, I can't justify hiring James. He said, no, you're not buying their time. You're buying your own time back at a discount. And that allows you to go. And that was such a major breakthrough mentally for me. And for any solopreneur, I talk to everyone, Tyler, I just want to take 6 figures home of income. And I say, you're not going to do it by yourself. Even if it's just a part-time person for 4 hours a day that allows you to extract from the vast majority of minutia, you need that one team member who can just take care of all the little things that are taking up your most precious resource, your time. Take your own medicine. If you're asking someone to say, this is not a good use of your time, what's a bad use of your time? Fantastic. Kathleen says, are you a CPA? I'm not even sure off the top of my head.
Nope, I'm an enrolled agent.
So if you're using that as a barrier, a crutch, I'm not a CPA, please just look at Amanda. Please, come on. Not necessary. Nope. Not necessary. Pat, awesome interview. Thanks for sharing, Amanda. How did you pick your niche? I know we talked a little bit about our back and forth, but what kind of made you decide to go in that direction?
So I will share this fairly quickly, but I initially settled on, so the way I did it was I looked at my client base. I looked at what types of clients do I have? Who am I already working with? How am I helping these people? Then I looked at my network. Who do I know? Who do I know that can help refer these people? Who do I know that can be power partners in this industry? We initially landed on construction, and literally within, I think it was like a week and a half, wasn't it, Tyler? I'm boxing Tyler and I'm like, nope, this isn't my niche. We're changing. And he messaged me back. He's like, wait, let's talk about this. And there was 2 very, very specific things that made me shift. Well, I'd say more than 2, but 2 specifically that come to mind. One, I don't like job costing. I didn't want a job cost. Construction industry, they want job costing. Nope, it didn't work for me. And then one of the exercises that Tyler has us go through is defining our ideal client and what are some of those characteristics. there was two big components of that for me. And one was that they're family oriented and they're technologically savvy. Those were two big things, because I'm like, I'm remote. I don't have a physical office. So I have to have clients that can get into the portal, find their things without emailing us every single day of where's my tax return? How do I find this? Where's my W-2 I uploaded? So when I stepped out of construction and I revisited that list, I'm like, I know a whole lot of network marketers here, like, ironic. And then I started looking at those people that I knew, and I'm like, every single person that was in my circle of people I had met, people I knew, people I considered to be friends, were 6+ figure earners. And I'm like, Then I started talking to the people, and one thing kept coming up is my accountant doesn't take me seriously. And that was kind of the shift for me, that I'm like, okay, all right, this is it. But it was a combination. I think the final push was that ideal client characteristic list, because if you look at network marketers, they're always posting their kids. They're always doing things with their kids. Their kids go to events with them. I'm like, that's me, because Tyler can vouch for this. 9 times out of 10, I have my 9-year-old son walking by in his pajama pants and no shirt, or he comes in here and he interrupts, or he comes and he stands here and he just waves at people. He does that with clients. He does that with colleagues. He does it with everybody. Like, I always tell my clients, I'm like, you will get to know my kid. Probably not the older one, because he doesn't come up as often, but you will know my youngest one by name, and he'll probably tell you all about his hobbies at some point. So that was important to me, and that helped shift me or solidify this niche for me.
I love it, because sometimes our initial reaction, it's not necessarily the right one, but we have to be willing to dig into it and know the right questions to ask to get to that answer. A lot of people are paralyzed about niche selection because what happens if I pick the wrong one? And yes, we can figure that out ahead of time. And on top of that, the major takeaway from her answer is I was willing to talk to the demographic and get feedback. And that's what she said, was like, that's when it became clear. Is like, they weren't being treated seriously. What happens if I give them the attention that you deserve, that the law firms get, that the construction companies get? I'm going to create a rabid fan base around me in a massively profitable and growing industry. Ding, 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 right? Like,
and I'll add one thing to that. Like, when Tyler encouraged me to niche down, like, I pushed back a lot with him. I'm like, but, no. Like, I gave him a lot of pushback on that, and because it was scary. I'm like, but I'm excluding all these other people that I can still help serve. I'm not, I have lots of therapists as clients. I'm like, what if they decide they don't want to work with me because all my marketing is over here? And so we're 10 months into this now, and I will tell you guys, just from experience, literally the last 30 to 45 days is where we've started to see the momentum. It's not something that you're going to say, this is my niche, and you're instantly going to start running with it. Like, you have to build that up out to the public eye as well. So you can shift it, but you have to let other people know. And so literally it was like 8 months before we started finally seeing, like, okay, like, now my name's coming up more often, and these people are tagging me in these comments. Okay, now we're getting momentum.
Exactly, right? Like, it's so important to realize that there are no silver bullets, ladies and gentlemen. Building your network takes time. Establishing your expertise in that network, it takes time. But there are certain things that you can do that don't require your direct time, but you have to lay the foundation so that when other people are going out there on your behalf, or you're deploying resources, that it all resonates and it increases the efficiency of each thing. So I want to be respectful of Amanda's time. We've got 2 minutes left, so we're going to go rapid fire here. Brad said, when did you start working with Tyler? We covered that. That's in March. Linda says, congratulations on the growth. Michael is also saying, do you help with finding remote clients? I'm just going to answer that. Absolutely. We have no geographical boundaries or concerns. I mean, Michael, I'm in France, brother, right? Like, don't worry about that. I got that like the back of my hand. Okay. Steve says, when we join your program, do we work one-on-one with you, Tyler? If you didn't hear, that's one of the major things that Amanda knows separates us from everyone else. I'm going to give you the attention you deserve. Becky, what's the link to join? It's in the Zoom chat right now, dreamfirms.com/CYDF. You have to apply. My time is limited. I'm sure you're one of my dream clients, Becky, but we have to make sure, just be as much like Amanda as you can when you're on that call. Odds are we'll accept you. Nathan says, sounds like just what I need. Can you call me to discuss? Nathan, I don't play phone tag, brother. And Amanda don't play phone tag. She even wasn't playing phone tag way back when, before appointment scheduling wasn't a big thing. book a call, right? Let's prioritize. Let's both show up, or have one of my dream firm advisors show up. No guarantee it's going to be me, right? Like I have things I need to do as well, like work with my clients. So point is if it's me or one of my team members, you're going to be in great hands. Again, book the call, Nathan. Jaleel, book the call for Thursday. What's up, Jaleel? Way to go. Super excited for 2021 is going to be awesome. You are absolutely right. Rebecca, I need better systems to grow my firm. I will book the call. Systems are the only way to make more money in less time. Way to go, Rebecca. Nathan is booking a call. Way to go. And then Kenny, there are so many softwares out there. Do you help with picking the right ones? Amanda, what do you think? Do I help with that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think with the exception of one system that you recommended, I use all the systems that you recommended. And honestly, I had most of them even beforehand. I just wasn't using them. But yeah, that is a big component, is understanding the tools piece of what we need.
Excellent. And I'll say one other quick thing. Amanda shared with me, she's the reason we recommend TaxDome now. She's an expert in TaxDome. She crushes it. And our clients are so grateful for that. So we're constantly evolving and improving. We're listening to our clients as well. And their expertise is often on display. So if you have an expertise, would love to have you come into the program, help you be able to share with your like-minded peers. And so look, we are out of time officially. And then it looks like one more comment. I think, sorry, I lost the Zoom call now. One more thing from Christina. Great interview. Thank you. Thank you, Christina. Thank you to everyone who watched this. And most importantly, thank you to Amanda, Dream Firm leader, coming on here, willing to share her expertise. Any last parting shots before we close it out?
No, just if you're thinking about it, schedule the call, because I promise you won't regret it.
I love it. Thank you so much. And listen, it's been a pleasure. Amanda, we'll see you very, very soon. Hope to have every single one of you inside of the program. And remember that only you can make your dream firm a reality, like Amanda is, but we are here to help you every single step of the way. Book your call and we will have you creating your dream firm faster than you thought was ever possible. Talk to you soon.